Welcome back to Legends of Evil, where I talk about the villains outside of the comic books. But today you're probably wondering, wait a minute, this is a villain that we have seen in comics, Deadpoolzilla, what's going on? Technically, no. This character did show up in DC, but it was in DC animated form. And that character is Andrea Beaumont, aka the Phantasm, from, of course, Mask of the Phantasm. Now, I know what you're thinking, again, but that's DC, that's a comic book, that's, isn't that against the rules of Legends of Evil? Not necessarily. You see, like I said, the Phantasm first appeared in an animated film and is only recently making her debut in the comics. I'll get into that in a little bit further, but for right now, let's just talk about the here and now. So, in this story, in this movie, but let me back up. This is a character that has not made its appearance in comics yet. Like, it's never been canonically in comics and was showed up first in TV, so I kind of bent the rules for it. So, yeah, got a little tongue-tied there, but let's talk about the Phantasm. Now, the Phantasm is a character that showed up in probably the best Batman animated film, and one of the best Batman films, Mask of the Phantasm, which was it was a fantastic film that was part of the continuity of the 90s Batman cartoon. And what had happened was that in this film, we learn more about the origin of this universe's Batman. We learn about the early days of Bruce Wayne, and as well as him training to become Batman. But along the way, what had happened was that he ran into a young woman named Andrea Beaumont, who was the daughter of a gangster. And the two fell in love, and I love the scene, by the way. I absolutely love the scene where Batman goes to his parents and is like, "I'm sorry, I didn't think I'd be happy." Like, I love that moment where he's like, "I'm sorry, I didn't know I would be happy through all of this." So I really dug that about the film, is that it was willing to go into these deep, dark places and go further into it. Now, Andrea is basically getting revenge on everybody who's wrong, who went against her father, and is slowly killing her way through several characters, and eventually leads her into a collision course with Joker, who actually in the story we find out did work for her father as like I believe he was either a chauffeur or just a just low-level member of his mob. I can't remember exactly, but it more or less Andrea and Bruce try to reconcile through all of this, but doesn't exactly turn out well, and the movie ends with Andrea being absorbed and just being washed over with flames, with Joker letting out one of his best laughs. Kudos to Mark Hamill for that one. Now, you would think that would be the end of the Phantasm, really. But what we find out in a later episode of actually Justice League Unlimited, in an episode called Epilogue, we discover that Andrea was alive and well, and was actually tasked by Amanda Waller to recreate Bruce's traumatic childhood experience by having the Phantasm murder Terry's parents, to try to recreate that kind of trauma that Bruce had as a child. But Andrea was like, "No, well, I'm not going to do that." Like, at the last second, they were like, "No, I'm not going to do that." However, of course, we do know that, Terry's father was eventually killed through the machinations of the villain who would be known as Blight later on. And yeah, he did become Batman later on in, of course, Batman Beyond. But it was interesting to see that, Andrea was still alive, even as far in the timeline. What also is interesting is that, like I said, Andrea hasn't shown up in the comics of DC continuity since ever. Like, this is going to be her first time, and that is going to be in the Tom King Batman Catwoman miniseries. Apparently, the Phantasm will be the main antagonist of that miniseries. So yeah, after how many years she's been in the movie? This is her first time. The Phantasm is making its way into DC, canon, into DC Comics canon, which blows my mind. But, yeah, it blows my mind, and I'm really curious to see what Tom King's going to do with Andrea. Is she going to still be a former lover of Bruce? Is she still going after the mob? Or is there going to be some changes like what, much like with another character that showed up in DC, outside of DC media, with Arkham Knight, and is that going to be the same with what Tomasi did with Arkham Knight, making not only the Arkham Knight not only a woman, but also the daughter of the she's an Arkham, and it actually was a lot better. Like, that storyline with the Arkham Knight in Detective Comics was a hell of a lot better than the game itself. So yeah, so I find it funny that not only do we have Arkham, we had Arkham Knight before the Phantasm. Just think about that. Anyway, so in terms of like other things, the Phantasm is known for is that it's Andrea used the Phantasm costume. She was kind of like a Reaper in a way. And actually, the character of the Phantasm is based off of a character from Batman Year 2 known as the Reaper. And Mask of the Phantasm is actually based off of Batman Year 2. So you can see the parallels between that costume and the Phantasm. Only the other major difference is that Batman Year 2 really sucks. Like, seriously sucks. Whereas the Mask of the Phantasm is a work of art. But among other things, Andrea used the Phantasm costume to, appear as a shroud and use that scythe. She also did a few more gadgets here and there. She was a force to be reckoned with. Hopefully, the one thing I never got was that, where'd she get all this and where'd she train with all this? So maybe we can I'm wondering if we'll get, a cool comic explanation as to how Andrea went about, Andrea Beaumont becoming the Phantasm, in that upcoming miniseries. Although, I will say that there could also be the chance that it may not even be Andrea Beaumont, much like how Jason Todd wasn't the Arkham Knight in that comic. I mean, in the Detective Comics run. So anyway, so you guys tell me, what did you guys think of the Phantasm? Did you guys like it? Hate it? Did you guys like this character? Hate this character? And what do you think is going to happen in the upcoming Batman Catwoman miniseries by Tom King introducing that character? Are you still hoping it's Andrea Beaumont? And would you like to see more of that romance between her and Bruce further expanded? Ugh, I'm just a mess today. Anyway, just comment below, let me know, and once again, hope you all enjoyed this, and I will see you guys later.